Hi guys, so a lot of people ask me like how to get started reading, how did I get started reading, what books they should read, things like that. And kind of like I want to give you guys kind of a guidance point of what tarot actually is, so it will help you understand more, because if I would have known this when I first started getting my cards read slash learning how to read, it would have helped me a lot more. So first I want to start off with my experience with the cards. So my initial experience with cards was actually really not the best. So I was down and out, really actually devastated at the time, and nothing could really make me feel better, and I really needed guidance. And so I had seen these signs that said, astrology reading, all this stuff in a city called Berkeley, which is by where I live. And so I was like, oh, this is exactly what I need. I don't know what to do. I'm lost. And so I went there, and the woman, she told me that I had this curse on me, and that basically there was no way to remove it unless I bought these $200 candles. And I believed every word she said. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just doomed. I knew it. So I call my dad, and I'm like, Dad, I gotta borrow $200. I need to get these candles. There's a curse on me, all this stuff. And my dad's like, oh Jesus, and so he thought about it, but he didn't say no. And so I called my best friend, and I was like, you got to go get your cards read by her. You got to see what she says. And so my best friend went, of course, because she's a writer. Shout out to Candy Mac. But so she goes with her other friend. They go get their cards read. The first girl goes, and she believes everything she says because she told her another story. My best friend goes in, and the lady told her the exact same story. She told her she had a curse on her. She had to buy $200 worth of candles. And so my best friend comes back to me, and she's like, it's not real, dude. She told me the exact same thing she told you. So I don't know what devastated me more. Was it the fact that I didn't, that I had a curse on me, or the fact that, there was somebody out there that's basically telling me magic isn't real? Because at that point in my life, I believed in it so heavily. I was just kind of finding my spiritual path, and I really, really believed in everything. And so it made me really, really sad and a bit cynical for a few years, to the point where I didn't really read anything spiritual. I didn't get on my spiritual practices anymore, because it just kind of made me think none of this is real. So fast forward to the future, I'm going through it again. I'm down and out. But not so vulnerable this time. I'm a little smarter, a little wiser. And so I go to a different place, and I'm just kind of looking at this magic store. I had been there a few times buying different purchases on things that I use for metaphysical reasons. And this time that I'm there, I see this beautiful, just glorious woman named Luna, and I'm kind of just watching her, listening to her, and I'm like, what do you do here? And she goes, I do readings, and I work the store. And I was like, oh, well, do you have time for a reading right now? And basically, I was hooked. Luna read me to a filth, and she told me things that I wasn't even aware of that were going on. So she was telling me that I had this deep-seated anger, but every day I was walking around with a smile on my face. But there was so much from the past that I had been holding on to that I wasn't even aware of, that was causing me, when I did snap at people, though I wasn't walking around angry every day of my life, but the experiences that I went through where I would get angry and snap were stemming from these things that she brought to my attention. So that's where I'm going to go from there, is that the tarot is going to tell you basically what's happening on your insides, what's going on with your soul, who you are on that level. Almost if you had a best friend in the world who could tell you anything without being afraid to hurt your feelings. Now, I know we all have those best friends, but sometimes they don't understand the whole thing, because not even you could explain the way you feel. So that's what the cards do. They're a mirror to your soul. They're not telling you the future. They can show you routes that are possibilities, but there's no future that they're telling. So they're not a divination tool, which brings me to the fact when people say that they're evil because in the Bible they tell you don't use divinatory tools. They're not doing divination work. They're telling you what's going on in you so you can be more aware. And that's what the cards did for me. They made me so aware of what I do, how I act, what I'm going through at the moment when I can't put it into words. That's what the cards do. So when you're getting a reading, know that you're going to see kind of what's going on with your subconscious mind. For instance, the other day, this girl, I was doing a reading for her, and she pulled the Three of Swords when it came to her and her ex-boyfriend. And she's the one that broke up with him. So I realized, because I knew a little bit of background on the situation, that he had hurt her. Everyone was kind of blaming the relationship on her because she cheated on him and she broke up with him. But before she did any of that, he had hurt her by letting her down. And I knew that from the Three of Swords, and she couldn't even put that into words. Her friends had been kind of down on her, saying that it was her fault. Everyone in her family like blamed her for the relationship, but what they weren't seeing was the damage that was done on the inside. They could only see the external. And so that's kind of what the cards do. Me and the girl were just in actual tears. So that brings me to my next point. The card's broken down into majors and minors. So the majors, which I have one right here, just so happens, Temperance. This is a literally like when you get this card or when you get any major card, it's like, hey, wake up. This is a life-changing, life-altering path changer. Like, you're going on a different route when you get this card. It's a game changer. It's, you know, that kind of spinning out. When you get a minor card, this is just a moment in your life. This isn't necessarily changing anything. This is just kind of how you feel in the moment. When you get these major cards, it's letting you know, no, the route has changed. The course has changed. Wake up. It's time to go. And so that's kind of how the deck is broken up into. For instance, when you get certain cards like this is the Two of Cups. This just lets you know at this moment, there's an equalness in a relationship. There's a balance. There's a harmony. There's an equal give and take. That's what's going on. This isn't something that lasts forever, though some people will pull this card every single time because it's something that they work on continuously in the relationship. Now, if you pulled, for instance, I just had it, the Death card, this lets you know that what's happening in your life, that whatever you pulled that card for, it's gone. It's over. It's drained you. It's no longer serving you. It's time to transform. So those are the different little ways that you can see it. And all it really is the steps that you go through in life. So that leads me into the major arcana, and I kind of want to give you guys some insight on what those cards mean when you pull them and what it is. So really, it's the Fool's journey. So the Zero card is the Fool. The Fool has started out on a new beginning. You know he's on a new beginning because you see the white rose and you see his protector right there. So that dog is going to protect him no matter what he does. The reason why they call him the Fool is because he has no idea what he's getting himself into. Now, this isn't a bad thing. We never have any idea what we're getting ourselves into when we start a new beginning, right? You just don't know what's going to happen. And you have full, bright hopes. And that's the way you should be. Don't go in it with fear. Go in it with complete, high hopes that everything's going to work out. Because everything is going to work out. There's going to be some bumps along the way. But he knows right now, and that's how we all do, we're going to be okay. And so that's why you set off on the journey in the first place. So when you get this card, just know that you're being asked to take a new beginning. You're being blessed with a new adventure. It's a really good card to pull. People don't like it because it's called the Fool, but really it's just basically the same thing as Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. It's the person setting off on their path. The next thing or person that you come across, the archetype, will be the Magician. So and I love it because Paulo Coelho uses this, and from me, I see in The Alchemist, I see a lot of tarot references, or at least now I combine everything with tarot. But when you meet the Magician, this is when they're like, the universe has your back. This is when they're like, if you want it, the entire universe will conspire to help you achieve it. If you just believe, you'll have every resource you ever need. And that's what the Magician represents. So you see the infinity symbol, meaning he'll always be there. meaning that he'll always be there with every resource that you need along your way, okay? So even when you're slipped up, even when you're at a slippery slope, you're going to have the magician with you. You just have to remember. And that's the thing, a lot of us forget when we get to this point, when we get to those downhills, when we get to those uphills, we're like, oh shoot, I'm lost. I don't know where, I don't have anything. I have nothing. But you never have nothing. You just forgot. You forgot about your resource. The next card is the High Priestess. So on your journey, you set out on your new journey, you realize that the universe has your back because all of a sudden, everything you need is kind of just going to you. It's not maybe everything you want, but everything you need is coming to you. Then you have the High Priestess and you start realizing, okay, this is the right move to make. This is my intuition. Oh, that doesn't feel right. That's her. She's coming in to give you that wisdom, that knowledge. Now, this is probably my favorite card in the entire deck because look at her. She's just awesome. The next is when you meet the Empress and she teaches you how to birth that idea. She's so creative. She's so loving. It's like, oh, I set out on my journey and this is what it's for. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make up some excellent amazingness. She's like the fertility. She's birthing. She's creation. It's just those moments of fresh soil. And then you meet the Emperor. And he teaches you how to run your business. He teaches you how to stand your ground. He teaches you how to be firm with it. He teaches you how to make money off of your idea. He is a little harsh. He's that father-like figure, but he's going to help you no matter what. And then you meet the Hierophant. And this is really the High Priestess's male counterpart. This is that spiritual guidance, that wisdom when it comes in the male form. So you always will meet those two people along your way. That business savvy and that like life wise savvy. And then you fall in love. You understand it completely. You understand your journey. You're so excited about it. It understands you. It's compassion. You're just absolutely enthralled. And that's the Lovers. From this love, you get this second wind of energy of love creation. You're moving so quick. Do not take a break. That's the Chariot. When you get this card, move. It is time to go. You'll relax later. And after you've ran like the wind and did everything you could, you have to dig in for inner strength. When you see this card, I typically tell you it's like taming the lion. I always see this as the Leo because you have this inner lion in you, but you're so calm, so gentle, so sweet, but you are still a ferocious lion. So you see that she's not taming him with force or whips. She's taming it with love. So this is where you come to find that self-love, that self-care. That's the inner strength of it all. It's not necessarily being buff and strong. It's how do I love myself so much that I can love my ferocity and I can love my softness. And then this is where you relax. So this is the Hermit. This is where you kind of just take that withdrawal and you go within and you're alone. Even if you didn't actually want to be, sometimes it forces you to be alone if you're like a person who hates being alone. Or if you're like an Aries and you just can't stand sitting still. This is where the universe forces you to go within and remember why you were on the journey in the first place. Because after all that experience, you kind of forgot. So once you rest, once you rejuvenate, you meditate, you go back out. And then destiny sets in. And that's the Wheel of Fortune. So this is the Fate card. This is letting you know everything that's happening right now had to happen. This is that past life. Sometimes it's chaos. Sometimes it's great if you healed everything in your past life. But this is letting you know this has happened before. This is how the wheel turns. And then you see Justice. And it's another like karma type card. So basically, sometimes karma misses you because that was your karma to get away with it. Or sometimes, yeah, you get a little bit spiked. You know, you feel slighted. It's always letting you know that justice will prevail. It has to do for the balance. And then you meet the Hanged Man. So people really get disturbed by this card. They think it means, oh, I'm gonna get hung, or it's not good. But really all this means is, so you just had justice, you just had karma kind of served you on a platter, and you're kind of going, why me? Why did this have to happen? But then you have to change your perspective. Put yourself in another person's shoes, and you realize that they weren't trying to hurt you. It wasn't the way you saw it. So when you pull this card, just know that you need to change your perspective. You need to see it from another view. You need to take a new look at it. You need to basically flip it around, or have a second eye. That's what this means. So like if you're doing a business perspective, then you need to get a second eye. You need to take another look at it. You need to get a new vision, because the old one isn't working. You're gonna be hurting yourself in that matter. And then death comes along. So after you got that new perspective, it's death to what's no longer serving you. You thought it came to hurt you. You thought that, that was the best thing for you, and you thought you were getting slighted, but no, it was just because it was no longer for you. And a lot of people get freaked out when they see this, but the white flower tells you that it's a new beginning. So it's a transformation card. It's letting you know, out with the old, in with the new. You can't keep being that same person if you want a new life. You can't continue being the same you if you want different. And then you meet the Angel of Temperance, who comes to just shed some light on you, give you a fresh drink after you've just, transmuted and changed and you're so exhausted. It's just a little breath of fresh air. And then you meet the Devil. Because why wouldn't you have to do that right after you just transmuted, fixed yourself? Because you're going to be tempted to go back to your old ways here. You're going to see a lot of jewels and lust and just temptations. And it's all just a facade. You have to keep moving. You're not going to stay there long. But they come to test you to make sure that you really want your new path. And then that's when all your foundations start to crumble that are no longer working, because you built up this life that wasn't supposed to be for you. There's too much excess. It wasn't a strong foundation. And so certain things have to fall apart in order for it to work. And that's what happens. If it wasn't a strong foundation, it starts to crumble. This is actually where I was when I went to go get my cards read. For the first time, I was going through my crumbling. All my excess, all the things I didn't need, I was just crumbling to pieces when I went to get my cards read for the second time by Luna. And I really needed to know that, because at that moment it feels like you have nothing and everything's being removed from you, but it's only the things that are no longer working. If you, like I said, if you want the new life, you've got to get rid of the old stuff that's taking up the space. And then you get the Star. And this is like heaven on earth. This is, you made it, you get to breathe. Again, it's another little relaxation moment. Just a little bit of love from the universe, because you do still have a lot of work to do, but it's letting you know like everything will be okay. And then the Moon. So you can't relax anymore with the Star. It's time to set out on your path. The Moon's gonna light it up for you, right? The Moon's lighting up your path. Yes, there are still obstacles in the way if you're this lobster, because there's two wolves right there. But not only is the Moon showing you where to go, it's also distracting anything that could possibly hurt you. So when you get this card, you need to know that, yes, it's okay to come out. It's okay to come out of your safety zone. We still have your back. You still have to keep going. Yes, there are obstacles in the way, but we're gonna block those from you, okay? Just keep moving. And then the beautiful Sun, the card that magnifies the deck by tenfold in any reading, the most beautiful moment where you really reach that full happiness because you went out on your path, because you listened, because you trusted, and you knew that your back was covered. And then you see why everything happened, because you reach judgment. You see that nothing was there to hurt you, it was all there to teach you. And you're so thankful because you realize that everything had to happen in order for you to get here. If there was no other way, you had to go through those struggles or you wouldn't be the person you are now that you're here. And then the World. This is the completion card. This is where you learned everything you needed. You see the Magician coming back in with the infinity symbol, and you have the Lion, the Man, and these represent every zodiac sign, all 4 of them. So it's just a sign of completion. It's knowing that you got it, you master the lesson, but guess where you end up back? You guessed it. The Fool.